welcome to the club. Within the past maybe 48 hours, give or take, I told y'all it's important to sit in your come up, because on the outside of that, you come out a new person. There's value in being around, other like-minded people, or just people in general, because, they, in a sense, we recharge each other. It's important to be around, a good support system. And that's really what I want to talk about today. Watching the company we keep, because as we know, iron sharpens iron, and people hold you down. And we always want to be on the side where, we have a group of people, or we're in a community, or we're around individuals who are always, uplifting, encouraging, and, just pointing us and guiding us maybe into the right direction, right? We don't want to be in that group or on that side where we have people who are, either keeping us stagnant or bringing us lower than where we were originally. I'd advise, having at least, 1 to 4, people around you that you consider friends. And I mean real friends, right? The ones who hold you accountable, right? The ones who speak life into you, change your light bulb, when it's getting a little dim, and replacing it with an even brighter one so you can keep on, just being you. The ones who show true love, true friendship that's built on the foundation of genuineness. We like that. We want to attract them type of people. You may consider yourself a loner sometimes. You may like your little isolation, but to go through life every day by yourself in isolation, that's like saying, hey, depression, come on and just, just warp around my mind. Come on, anxious thoughts, come and just warp around my mind. Like, no. Let's get into a community or get around like-minded individuals so we can, throw punches at this thing called life together. But before you even do that, y'all know in the last video I mentioned, it's important and, being comfortable with yourself, knowing your patterns, knowing your behaviors, just knowing who you are. So, when you get around people or you get in these groups, or, you're starting to embark on the journey of, just be new people, be codependent. Because that's a dangerous game. Because, when we're too codependent, our minds start to morph into other people, right? And to the point where you can't even tell which is which, because everybody acting like everybody thinking like everybody following everybody. We want to be leaders, right? We're not followers. We can probably influence people, but we have our own mind, our own views, our own perspectives, our own hearts, our own values, our own principles that we can probably relate to other people with. But getting to the point where we're so codependent on other people that we need them around us, that's diabolical crazy work. Gotta find worth in you first. And then something I also believe that we need to understand within our friendships or within our groups, we can't be everything to each other. I can't be your mom, your big sister, your friend, your bank, everything you need all in one. Sometimes within our friendship, we need to utilize the word no, right? Or sometimes we need to have uncomfortable conversations. That's how you know it's true. That's how you know it's genuine. That's how you know it's real. If I can be around people where, I can say something to you, you don't get offended, or, you don't hold on to it, right? And then start acting funny, you're a real one. Shout out to my homegirls, because y'all been in it with me through thick and thin. Like glue. Let's just take a moment for them. Because I can cry. Just think about them right now. They so beautiful and brilliant and black and precious and so smart and intelligent. Like, they just got something going on for their life. I'm really their biggest fan. We may not, be around each other all the time. May not be on the phone, might not text 24/7. But if they ever needed anything, they should know I'll give them my lung. But yeah, to bring it back on the reverse side of that, I do think it's important to know who you're around too. Because, I do believe to a certain extent that, when people are around each other for a long time, they start to mirror each other. We should be aware of what we're allowing, to be around us and what we're mirroring. Because, that says a lot about our characters, right? And our values and our morals. It's in them moments you got to watch out for the snakes and the mass manipulators, right? And the people who just want attention and an audience. But again, discernment is where you would use that. Start, fruit checking people. Are their words and actions matching, what they planning out into the world? And if not, step back with love. One thing about friendships, and one thing, you know, I will always want my friends to understand is, you know, there's only a few things I would really put above them. Right, and that's God and Canary. But you know, my friends understand it and they know that. So like, when I be listening to my other homegirls and they be telling me about they phony friendships, sometimes I just can't relate because I was never really that kind of girl to, you know, be in them big old circle girl groups. Right, where I watch everybody be fake and funny to each other. I had one friend in middle school and she went on with me into high school, and then we kind of veered off when I got to college. I've always really been comfortable, you know, walking alone. And, you know, and if like-minded individuals gravitated toward me, that was cool. But I don't think there's nothing more dangerous than, you know, being around a vampire, right? Someone who just uses you for what they need, right? To the point where you're drained. They don't know how to, you know, pour you a cup of water, or, you know, swipe the dust off your shoulders. But, you know, still love them though, right? You know, still wish them well, but just start checking people's fruits. And before I do go, you know, I just want to leave y'all with a few things. When we are sitting in our struggles, or we are sitting in our pains, or in those seasons where, you know, it's just a little hard and it's a little difficult, try to find and get around like real genuine people, right? More Christ-like individuals, or see if you can find support groups, because there's always somebody out here, you know, who's willing to help. You know, you just have to put yourself out there to go find them. And if you can, you know, start to spend more time with your family. You know, nobody knows you better than they do. Well, to a certain extent. But you know, personally as humans, I don't believe we're meant for isolation. Yes, we may have seasons where we're in solitude, but you know, maybe that's because, you know, God wants us to, you know, hear his voice more clearly. Or, you know, it's some things that, you know, we just need to go through. But you know, when you're around people and you're sharing laughs and you're sharing memories, I believe, you know, that's a healthy void. They may make you, you know, forget about what it is that you're going through. Or, you know, they might put you onto a tip or opportunity that helps your situation. You know, the last thing before I go for real, keep a big lookout for the people who don't do anything but talk about their problems and look for no solution. If we believe in no time is money, we don't want people wasting our time, right? We want to be with people that help us do this. Elevation is like a rocket ship. And as your rocket is, you know, traveling up, you know, you got to be okay with, you know, breaking people off. Right? You know, just waving goodbye, you know, on your way up with all love. Yeah, that's going to conclude our month of June. I'm going to see y'all on Tuesday. Hopefully, that's the first, because for the month of July, I got a real nice surprise for y'all. But I had to wait for it to be finalized before I can really tell y'all the stuff. But yeah, peace. See y'all next time. You can trust in me. I can, you said I can trust in you.